From the far reaches of the Milky Way galaxy, it's Retro Nerd Girl with a quick film review for you. Today I'll be reviewing the movie Teen Wolf 2, released in 1987, starring Jason Bateman, Kim Darby, and John Astin. Directed by Christopher Leach. The synopsis is: Todd Howard wants to be a veterinarian, but he's been accepted into a college unknowingly on a boxing scholarship. Plot twist! The only way that he can get his degree is by transforming into a wolf. The story is a continuation of the very popular movie Teen Wolf, released in 1985. Teen Wolf 2 is not the number 2, but the word spelled T-O-O. So the title is really Teen Wolf as well, or Teen Wolf again. As in, the wacky events in the first film happened again to someone else. It was a very clever device to indicate to the audience that there would not be a direct sequel to what happens to the main character in the first film. It would have been great for Michael J. Fox to return as Scott Howard, especially since the vast popularity of the Teen Wolf animated TV show. He just had no desire to get into the werewolf makeup again. So in this film, it's very important to know at the setup that everyone is hoping that Scott's cousin Todd has the same family genes to become a werewolf and lead the school team to championship. Last time it was basketball, this time it's boxing. Last time it was high school, this time it's college. The most unfortunate part of the film is that it follows the original storyline quite closely. A young man is an outsider at school with no athletic abilities. There's a bully, and the main character likes a shallow girl, but yet has another girl on the side who truly loves him, waiting in the wings. He then discovers that he's a wolf and becomes a bit of a jerk after getting some notoriety around the school. He realizes that he's not being genuinely appreciated for being himself, and he uses his human athletic heart to be a true hero in the end. Even the transformation special effects were quite similar, but I really didn't find too much of an offense to it because in the TV show they pretty much repeated the same effects as well, or the same series of transformations. So it really was something that the fans had learned to expect in this franchise. The filmmakers repeated the formula, but there were some changes that helped to make the experience a little new, with an emphasis on comedy, sometimes even a bit of slapstick. There was twice as much of a budget for the sequel, and one area where you see that they spent a lot of money was one heavily choreographed musical number for the wolf to perform. It's kind of a spectacle to see, and it made me smile a bit. It's super cute, but it kind of happens out of nowhere in the story, and it doesn't quite make sense why he suddenly performs out of nowhere. It was actually kind of nice to see James Hampton, who played Scott's dad in the first movie, reprise his role in this one. He's Todd's uncle, and he brings some familiar grounding to the film whenever he appears on screen. He's a very solid character that you can depend on. I think he's very dependable. Mark Holton, who played Chubby in the first movie, returns, and he's just as funny as ever. He doesn't have much to say, but he does make those funny facial gestures. And they were the only two actors to return. Jason Bateman plays Todd with a humble and earnest charm that helps to make the character likable. It's a tough part to play because it's hard for the audience to still root for Todd when he turns into a massive egomaniac. This movie really amps up how much of a jerk Todd gets to be. So much that when he gets the second chance to make things right, he really doesn't deserve it after all the mean things he does with his newfound popularity and success. I mean, there's even a scene where he pushes a guy off the road who's riding a bike with his car. That's pretty mean. Anyway, Jason himself is a well-known actor now, but at the time of the film, he was really known for being a cute kid who was on a lot of sitcoms and was the younger brother of Justine Bateman, who starred along with Michael J. Fox on the hit TV sitcom Family Ties. Now, I don't know how Jason came about to getting the role, but I think it's kind of a cool connective factoid that his sister worked with Michael J. Fox. This was a great debut film from him. It put him in front of a lot of people who went on to be very loyal fans of his over the years. There were a few characters that returned for the sequel that were played by different actors, like Coach Finstock and Stiles. They happened to be the two of the funniest characters in the first film, but it just didn't translate or transfer over to the sequel. They were still enjoyable though. But one character that was extremely funny and pretty much steals every scene he's in was Dean Dunn, played by John Astin, famous for his role as Gomez Addams from 1964 to 1966 in the Addams Family TV series. He was definitely over the top, but I think his performance was just the hilarious spark that this film needed. One new element that was clear to me upon revisiting this film was that this time love was the answer. It's a twist on the first film where Scott had to surmount his challenges on his own and proves he has the heart to win. Nikki, played by S.A. Chandler, loves Todd for being himself, and it's love that ultimately gives him the strength to win. I mean, isn't that sweet? But did you know that there were talks to have a Teen Wolf 3 starring Alyssa Milano as a teen wolf playing football in high school, and unfortunately it fell through. I would have loved to have seen that. Some people flat out disliked this movie because it was a sequel without Michael J. Fox, and that's totally understandable. I mean, he's a national treasure, for crying out loud. Or maybe they were just interested in the story being about Scott Howard and his life as a teen wolf, and introducing Todd was a conflict of their fantasies about the Teen Wolf universe. That is a strong possibility. Another reason for the lack of interest was that the film wasn't groundbreaking enough, and it was pretty much a near repeat of the same events and special effects of the first film. I think it would have been cool to have gone back in time and see how Scott's dad had to deal with his challenges back in the 50s. And I thought that was the way they were going to go, as they had already had a villain set up for him in the first movie. There's so many different ways they could have gone to spruce, to continue the story, such as introduce a secret society of werewolves and the supernatural explanation behind why we have these wolves and why they're not just totally wolves, that they actually don't eat humans? And what balance are they trying to maintain in their ranks? And are there other supernatural beings that exist in this universe? I just wish they had gone deeper into the lore behind the teen wolf and his family and the curse. Like, who placed the curse? Why is there a curse? How many other cursed individuals are out there in the world, and so on and so forth. So I think they lost a very good opportunity to present something truly magical here. In the vacuum of time, some of us actually are out here and we still think fondly of this film. It's packed with a lot of cheesy comedy, great 80s montages within montages, fun moments, and a moral code to be true to who you are as we remember the last cry of the Teen Wolf movie franchise in the 1980s. My rating is a 6.6. Well, that sums up my quick spoiler-free review. This is Retro Nerd Girl signing off. Take care, movie lovers. I'm off to my next review.